Hello and welcome to our episodes of Damsels After Dark, where we, your favorite hosts, will be discussing the series review of Kingdom of the Wicked. I almost forgot about it because I don't really care anymore. So, the first half of our review will be no spoilers, so feel free to listen in and we'll let you know when there are spoilers. So, if you would like to not hear about it, you could refrain from listening.
Yes, we'll warn you though as well as we move through. So I'll give a brief synopsis of the overall books before we jump into our individual series review. So essentially, Kingdom of the Wicked, the series follows. Well, in the beginning, two twins, Amelia and Victoria. One of them dies in a terrible accident, or I guess it was not really an accident, in a terrible event.
It's an event, all right.
Yeah, and her sister Amelia then sets off on this long quest to figure out what happens to her sister.
Longer than it needed to be.
Way longer than it needed to be. I think that's almost as much. Oh, and then along the way, she meets kingdoms. She meets princes of hell.
Yeah, this thing which they call the seven circles.
And I feel like that's almost all I can give.
Right? Yeah, without having to give any more spoilers.
Yeah, so we're just on her bandwagon trying to figure out what happened to her sister. The murder mystery is essentially what this book is chalked up to be.
A murder mystery with a little bit of added spice sprinkled throughout the series. Yeah.
Yep. The brooding enemies to lover sort of scenario is happening as well if you're into that thing, which I am into that thing, but I'm not into their thing. But anyway, so that's pretty much the synopsis of the book. Do you want to start with your overall?
Yeah, so we would like to go into our overall ratings for just the overall series, and then also include our spice rating for the whole thing. But for our overall rating, I would say a 2, only because book 2 was a little bit better than the other, better than book 1 and 3. I didn't like book 1 and book 3. Book 2 was probably better, so I averaged it out to a 2. The reason why I felt like book 1 had bad writing, book 3 went back to the bad writing, and book 2 had really good smut. The storyline didn't really seem to get any better. For my spice rating, I would say, overall a 3, because book 2 and 3 had some, but book 1 barely had any spice in it.
Yeah, I would also give this entire series a 2. It was not great. Book 1, I think I gave it a 2.
Yeah.
Book 3 was book 1 was a 2, book 2 was a 3, and book 3 was a 1. Wow, that's really confusing.
Yeah.
The storyline was not great. All of the build-up that she gives you in book 1 with these questions that need, these extravagant answers don't really come to fruition at the last of the book. The end of the book. Words are hard today. I don't know what it is. But she has all this build up through the book about these great curses and these mysteries, and they're solved at the end, but they're just flat.
Yeah,
all of them.
They're lackluster.
100%.
Yeah, they didn't really. You're waiting, thinking that something crazy is gonna come to these big reveals, and there's no big reveals. There was like maybe 1 or 2 things that were just like a little bit surprising, but that's it. Without having to detail what exactly that is, I would say everything was either you didn't care about anymore throughout the book, you just kind of gave up, or you forgot that this was even happening.
Yeah,
some things were happening, and you're just like, oh, we forgot that was happening. And then there were some things that we were just like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, and then a lot of things too that were sort of big reveals and big surprises sort of altered major events in the book or major things in the book that felt almost forced. So it's almost like the author had this idea of come to her mid-book and she decided to throw it in there hoping that this mystery of the curse or whatever is going to kind of overshadow the details there, and that really fell flat for me. Like it was really confusing. It made things fall flat. I have so many questions about timelines and not fully understanding really what was going on to cause the major event that's the entire thread of the books. Yeah. So I don't for that reason, it's a big fat 2 for me. And I really would not recommend this book to anybody.
Yeah, I don't either. And when I do tell people to read it, because I have told people to read it, but it's only so that way I could talk about it with them on how ridiculous some of this is. Plus, there is a favorite line that I do like, and I don't want to say it unless people have read the book because they wouldn't understand the context of it. And there's a couple scenes that just crack me up. So that's not a real reason to read a book.
Yeah, I mean, it is certainly entertaining in certain
Yes,
scenes, but you really have to like trudge through the shit to get there, and it's not worth it, honestly.
It isn't.
Because you can get, maybe not these exact scenes, but you can get that same sort of feeling through a book that was written much better.
You can't. There's some scenes where or not scenes, but there's some characters I would say in the books that that they just didn't seem like their roles to play. Like they introduced them as certain types of demons because this is a world where there's demons and witches and werewolves and vampires. And I felt like you could have taken that out of the story and they would have just been typical people walking around.
Absolutely.
I didn't feel like, unless with an exception of some of them using their powers here and there, I felt like it was no grand fantasy story, really.
No, but it was set up to be.
It was set up to be.
We're talking about a story that's about witches and demons.
But she didn't do that.
Vampires and shapeshifters and werewolves.
Yeah.
Oh my. And then she does really nothing with them.
Nothing. The world was built around and for these characters she created, and I felt like I was not getting demons. I was not getting werewolves. I was not getting vampires. I was
not getting demons.
I did not.
Underscore that line.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that, when we get to our spoiler part. But like that did not happen for me.
No.
And so I was extremely disappointed come book 3 at the very end of the series. I did not like. I did not like.
And also if you're looking for a book that has some strong female lead character, you're not going to find that. No. You're not. Look elsewhere because she fails at every aspect.
Miserably.
She has little peaks and moments here, but they're not substantial. They're not continuously growing. She just peaks once in every while. She'll say some smart ass thing and you're like, oh look, okay.
And even then the growth of her character supposedly to get to those points didn't really happen. It just came out of nowhere and then disappeared. And it's like, what?
Yeah, there's no big sort of character development happening here.
Yeah.
Everything is sort of given to her, or she's saved conveniently by lots of things. She's not a badass, and so if you're looking for that, don't come here.
And also, you mentioned in a few other of our reviews that book 1 is very much so a young adult.
It is.
It didn't feel like an adult fantasy book, whereas book 2 and 3 dabbled in that. But book 1 was very much young adult, and it was you can when you're reading it, you can definitely see that that's the case. I felt like I was reading, I don't know, some teenager on a wild mission when not solving her sister's murder, which that's what it implied in the first book.
Yeah.
But I felt like she was on I don't know. I don't even know what she was doing.
She was just mad. I mean, she really gave 18-year-olds. Like, she was really an 18-year-old. But that's not what I want to read about. I don't want to read about an annoying 18-year-old. I want to read about a badass. Yeah. I don't even care how old she is. Just a badass.
Exactly.
And she wasn't. But then somehow it's supposed to be. I don't. Nope, not for me.
Yeah, me neither.
And also, if you're looking for an enemies to lover type book, this I think is set up to be that. But I don't ever get that, really.
No.
It tries to be. It sets up scenarios to be in this back and forth banter, but at the end of the day, it's just not. And so, this is not one of those books for you if you're looking for that. I don't even know who to recommend this type of book to, because
you can't even recommend it to a young adult because book 2 and 3 is a little bit more spicy. So if you read book 1, you're gonna get, even if you were to do a standalone with book 1, you get no answers. You don't even get answers in book 2, really.
Nope.
So, and then the answers that are supplied to you felt rushed, felt hurried, felt like then they were too simple of an answer when they were giving all these issues and problems. I just did not like it. So who we would recommend this book to would just be somebody like, hey, you should read this because we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Like us.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm not. And even if I was recommending a young adult, it would not be this one.
No,
There are
that's the
so
thing,
many
yeah.
better young adults than this
No,
book.
it would not be this one.
Yeah, so I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it for at least the spoiler reviews the spoiler free review. So all around, 2 for both of us.
Yeah.
Not a great book. No.
And yeah, Spice wasn't even that great.
I did also not give my Spice. I think I would same as you. I think. What would you say? 3?
It's 3. Yeah.
3. Yeah. Okay. A 3. It was book 2 had great Spice.
Yes.
Book 3 is like the real Spice, and that was okay. And I said this for book 3 too. Is I can't really differentiate my feelings on the Spice in book 3 because I hated the characters, and so whenever they were having their spicy moments, I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care. Switch the page. I'm done reading this.
I had a better time about watching the 2 characters getting interrupted and what different way they were going to get interrupted during their Spice. So, when it came to Spice, I felt like she was a great author writing Spice.
Yeah.
I feel like she should have written Spice for some of the other books I have written or read in the past. But she was, in my opinion, she did a really good job. I just felt like her storyline needed a little bit more work.
I 100% agree. The Spice, beautiful. All throughout book 2, beautiful. Even book 3, even though I didn't really care about the characters, the Spice was still written well. Like, the sexy scenes were great.
They were funny. They're not supposed to be. I don't know why I'm weird. I thought it was funny.
Some of them were funny because people are, interrupting situations.
Yeah.
But overall, about a 3. Sounds about right. There is no Spice in book 1.
No.
So
no, the only thing that they had was the one scene you really hated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's right.
That's right.
Well, if you want to know about that, you can watch our
episodes.
So if you want more of our in-depth reviews, we did review for 1, 2, and 3, where we go through literally the entire book and talk about it that way. If you do happen to read it and you want to know what we think about each of the events, you can watch those. But yeah, so at the end of the day, a resounding 2. We didn't like it.
Yeah. On to our spoiler part of our series review.
Yes.
So yeah, if you haven't read it and you would like to read it without listening to us babble on about all the spoilers, feel free to stop here.
Yep. You've been warned.
We'll see you some other time.
Come back when you've read it.
Yeah.
So, questions. Do you have questions?
I have lots of questions, but I don't know if I had already said most of them in our other reviews. So, sorry if I'm being repetitive, but I feel like most of my questions have not been answered at the end of the book. Like, I don't know, maybe we did discuss it. Like, why were they children? And was Claudia growing up with them? How was she a child with them? I don't understand why Nana said so much stuff to her, like, love is the only thing that will, I guess, get you through this. But she also knows that her love is wrath, but she doesn't want that to happen.
And they're fated together.
Yeah, and she knows that. There's so many things that are just...
I agree with that 100%. That is one of my big questions, too. Why did Nona say that? Was she meaning to imply a familial love, that she was hoping Amelia would latch on to her as a grandmother-in-law and try to remember her warnings and not go to the princess? Was that her end goal?
Even her sister, like she wanted her to go back to her sister for that familiar love, that family love type of bond. Her sister was already the goddess of death. So if she were to go back to her sister, her sister really wanted her to be goddess faerie again. So that was a weird thing for her to have said.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't
know what that is. And also, since we're on the topic of Nona, I don't understand why Nona didn't do something sooner.
Yeah.
In book 1, when you see that these things are happening, she sees her with the dagger. She's Amelia's asking about the Horn of Hades. Why wouldn't there was no plan B for the witches when the girls might start finding out? Maybe we should have a plan to what we're gonna do. No, they didn't do anything. She just sat back and watched it happen.
And she was being superstitious, acting like she didn't understand why things were happening.
That's also like she knew it was coming.
Yeah, so why not do something? Why not, if you know the gates were being opened because you knew demons were coming out, why not close the gates earlier? You had the ability to do it way in book 3. And then why all of a sudden do you feel like you want to start using your powers when now the sister's dead? They're starting to attack your family, and you wait to come from the brink of death. Why? Like, why? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
I don't know. I'm a loss for words. And why the vampires were I don't know why the werewolves didn't do their thing.
Why did we have vampires and werewolves anyways if you weren't going to use them? I mean, you used Domenico, but you could have made him anything and just have like some special ability to
go through
be in the shadow realm.
I don't know. I don't
Useless.
understand.
No point in having them.
Yeah.
Also, I want to know. Okay, I have a general understanding of why the witches took the two twins. Like, I understand because they were afraid, blah blah blah. But not the two witches, the goddesses.
Yeah.
A question I have is, why would they take the goddesses? Like, you pray to these gods. They
do.
Like, don't you have some respect for these? You're constantly giving them, I don't know, sacrifices, or
they have a temple.
You have a temple. Yeah. Why would you take them? I don't understand that. Like, I did add that to the pile of things. I just, it seems so counterintuitive to what they are, because Amelia was praying to them often when she was looking for her sister, specifically to herself. She was praying to the goddess of death and fear without even knowing. So clearly they were revered. I just can't understand
they were raised to praise them.
Exactly.
Even without knowing they were them. I didn't understand the whole lots of things I didn't understand. And I'm trying to remember now. But when she's back in the realm of the seven circles and stuff like that, there's all these goddess themed like statues, that Wrath puts in place. But at what point in time was their realm cut? They don't talk about that. Like, their realms were done, separated between the seven circles, and the goddesses ruled everything. They're goddesses. Why are they bickering between the princes? Why are they shoved in a corner all by themselves? They don't really get into the detail. Just saying, they say one thing about how when Goddess Fury and Death were these entities that were running the underworld by themselves, they were vicious creatures to, I'm guessing, dead people, and they were thrown to the other side of the mountain when the princes came. So what did the demons just come down and were just like, oh, you guys take over? Like, what possessed that? They didn't talk about that.
And it's the underworld.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you mean they ruled badly? Or
I don't know. It's the underworld. That's what they're supposed to do. I don't feel like demons are demons in this story.
No, 100% not. Like, I want. That's the thing with Wrath, is he was built up to be this evil kind of, what did she say? Evil incarnate?
Yeah.
Or incarnate? I always say that word wrong. And he was not.
No.
He was consent daddy all the way to the very end.
Like, super, super consent daddy. Everything was, can I do this? Can you do that? Do you want me to do this? Say yes. It's like, oh my God, like, great, right?
Yeah.
But you're a demon. I've read. I feel like I've met. But I've read other characters who are not demons. I mean, I would.
Damn.
I have my own thoughts. I feel like I've met these people.
Yeah, right? No, I agree 100%. They weren't. He wasn't giving morally gray character that I wanted him to be giving, especially as a demon. Like, you're setting him up as a demon. You know who was, though? Envy.
Yeah.
I loved Envy because of that reason, because he came off more like a morally gray character, even though he kept putting up this shield of, oh, I'm doing this for my own good, blah, 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 knowing full well it was the good for everybody. But still, he still gave off that presence of morally gray. Yeah. And Wrath just did not. He was not the demon I needed him to be.
No.
Everything about him was just about just and consent and...
Yeah, that's not. And like the ending, I know we talked about it in the last episode we've done, but the ending of this whole series, are we okay? So now we're happy little loving people, like, so everything just gets resolved, and now they're supposed to rule the underworld. I mean, we're going to talk about it in a little bit because the author is going to write more books based off of Envy's character. So are we just ending here with everybody being happy-go-lucky? She doesn't leave room for like possible angst and war between the brothers. She doesn't. She just makes it seem like Amelia is going to be this ever loving queen that's going to unite the seven circles of hell. Like that just sounds so dumb. Oh my god,
it does sound dumb.
Like, come on. So like,
everyone lived happily ever after in the underworlds.
And they never discussed what Envy, because in the other books, Envy supposedly lost something, and he never discussed it. And apparently, all the other ones, like, we don't know what Sloth lost from the curse.
And I think she did that purposely.
Yeah, I think so. She could write more books. But no one cares.
Nah.
You're not leaving it open for, like, you're leaving it open, but you're leaving it open in a manner where we're just like, so? We don't care. I don't care. I mean, I might care if Envy's story comes out a little bit better, but even then it's just like I just felt like everything was just mediocre.
Yeah, 100%. Amateur.
Yeah.
Amateur across the board. One thing that I wish she would have done, which I think would have really elevated this book for me at least, is I wish she would have played up Envy as a potential love interest way more. Because he flirts with Amelia, I think a little, like he gives a little bit of that taste in book 1. I think he does it a little bit in book 2. I wish she would have played that up. I wanted to be struck between the two of them because I really was already as me reading it because I liked Envy. I think that would have really elevated this book. Had him just flirt with her a little bit more, especially just to piss off Wrath a little bit more and to piss her off a little bit too. Yeah. Because at the end we know that like essentially she fucked them over. So I don't know how she didn't, right? Because she ends up telling Wrath the plan, but at the end of the day she still was doing this plan to fuck with the brothers. So to have Envy kind of step into more of a morally gray character where he's sort of taunting her flirtatiously, I think would have done a lot more for me than all of those spice scenes in book 3 if I would have had this sort of moment of choosing sides, like, ooh, I wanted to be with Wrath or Envy. It was never a guess. It was always going to be Wrath.
Even the Pride situation, when Pride was supposed to be her so-called betrothed, like, that didn't even enter the game.
Yeah.
I was just like, what was the... Oh, I still don't understand how she signed that fucking contract and wasn't part of Pride's
house.
You have to know that it happened in book 2 because that was the ending. Or book 1, sorry. That was the ending, and then forget about it.
Yeah.
After they discussed that she's really still betrothed to Wrath halfway through the book, then it's like, okay, yeah, let's just forget that even had happened.
Yeah, no, which we found a fix for, which was easily having them screw right in the beginning of book
2.
3.
Yeah.
Book 3, yeah. So, I'm like, why? Why did we fail in small areas here?
All we know is that we're super excited about being done with this series.
Oh my God,
we had to get through it, in small spurts because we're just done with it.
Yeah. I mean, really, lucky you got it too. To be honest, because I almost didn't finish 3.
Book 2, like I almost didn't finish 1. Book 2 was, I only finished book 1 because I heard book 2 was good. So I was like, I'll give it a chance. Book 2 ended up being okay.
Yeah.
And book 3
and
just...
Also, I felt like they didn't really, to jump back to things that I still have questions about, I feel like they also didn't really give us information on why the goddesses entered into the bargain with the witch in the first. Like, what did they get from it? What was the bargain?
That was...
Yeah. How do you leave that out?
Yeah. We discussed a little bit about it, and I think our episode 3, why would they even think about lowering themselves as goddess to even deal with a witch who is just a portion of who they are in power? So why wouldn't they, if they were House Vengeance, why wouldn't they send their little, I don't know, people to go and handle the...
And even if they didn't, it was probably because the bargain was good enough that they wanted to take part in this. So again, how do you leave out what their bargain was? And the explanation we get in the book is that, well, they're House Vengeance, so that's just what made them do it.
And I think that's a pathetic answer.
What?
Yeah, no, that's a stupid answer.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I do not accept that.
No, I have a hard time with that too. And being that they were doing this and then they got kidnapped so easy. How do you get kidnapped that easy? By witches?
Yep.
Shadow witches or whatever they call them? I don't know. Yeah.
And then also, I find it so interesting, and I don't really quite understand why. I think it's in book 2 when Amelia is going through. She finds the triple moon mirror, and then she has the book, and twice she's getting warned by her mother, like, you can't undo this. Make sure it's what you want.
Yeah.
And then also she opens up the book, and Wrath pops out, like, make sure this, like, what does all that mean? Why is it so ominous? At the end of the day, you want her, both, probably the mother and both Wrath want her to remember who she is. Why would you make her second guess every step forward? Like, it's this, once you do this, it cannot be undone. What the fuck? What, once she becomes who she's supposed to be, once she breaks the spell lock of somebody who cursed her, why? That makes no sense to me. You made it sound like it's gonna be some other ominous, like, you're gonna learn that you killed, mass murdered people. Like, that to me sounds like, make sure you want these memories back. Something that you would say to Claudia. Hey, make sure this is what you want, because you didn't want to do it, and now you might remember everything you didn't want to remember before. Those are warnings you give her. That's not warnings you give to somebody who was kidnapped and thrown into the body of a child.
And these are supposed to be people on her side.
On her side, her mother and her lover.
Yeah,
I don't know. Doesn't make sense to have people who are on your side telling you when you were the victim. You're the person who's been kidnapped. You're the person who has everything against your will. It doesn't make sense that people on your side would try to make sure you really wanted to be who you are. Like,
you would think that they would want to rush that. I mean, and they also try to answer that by saying Wrath was too worried about bringing Goddess Fury back into the realms. But that was still a stupid answer, because he was assisting her and becoming in control of her fury. Oh, whatever. But so we'll just go into our section of heroines and heroes and villains and how we rank them.
Yeah, we want to keep a running list of our top, like, 5 badass bitches and our top 5 book boyfriends.
Yeah.
Or BBs.
Yeah. I'd like to add villains in this.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, okay. And our vicious villains.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. We're gonna keep that one.
Yes, I like it. Okay, so I'll start first. Let's do our book boyfriends, because that's always the juiciest one.
Yeah.
I'll ask you, does Wrath make your top 5?
There's different Wraths for me. There's Wrath in book 1, who is very weird, who runs away from girls screaming liar at him. Okay, I can't get past that. I remember that Wrath. Then there's Illusion Wrath, where he says, "Am I your favorite sin?" So that's pretty much Amelia's Wrath, but book 2 Wrath, I should say.
Yeah.
Because overall book 2 Wrath, who's kicking down doors for no reason,
kicking open doors.
So, if we're gonna go off of book 2 Wrath, he would be probably my 5.
Ooh, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that he made your list.
Only because I haven't read a whole bunch.
I'm shook to my core. I don't even have a top 5, but I know he ain't in it.
He's only book 2 Wrath. Only book 2. He's probably gonna get lowered. Because, like I said, I haven't read a bunch. And, like, the ones that I have read so far, it's only because he does a few things in book 2 that I like. But even in the book, okay, let's just go into the book. Wrath wouldn't be somebody I would choose in the book, though.
Okay.
As my book boyfriend.
Okay.
I would honestly... I'm going to be weird about this. I'm going to pick Sloth.
Ooh,
I like Sloth.
That came out of nowhere.
I really...
I was going to go for Lust, but okay, not me personally, but I would have guessed for you.
No, Lust is hilarious. I think he's hilarious. I think he'd be my friend. I would want him beat everybody's crazy. No, I think Sloth would be my perfect person. He would sit there with me, read books, watch movies, do nothing, and we'd probably eat.
Interesting.
Yeah, if not gluttony. But,
oh, yeah. There you go. All of them.
I like Sloth. The little bit that I got of Sloth, he just seems like he was good looking, which I was pretty amazed by that. And he was just like, somebody was just like, I just want to read. I just want to chill. I'm like, why do I like him?
Okay, so I love that you picked Sloth out of nowhere.
I know. I knew I was going to surprise you with that one.
So I know we each have, okay, so I think we just need to list some of our top that we already have in our list that people would know. So, like, from ACOTAR. Let's go ACOTAR so that at least people know what the skeleton of the list looks like. So if you have Wrath at 5.
Yeah.
So who?
Reese would be my first.
Okay, so Reese is number 1.
Yeah,
which
I like Rysand.
I
like Rysand.
Okay, so you have a number 1 and
I like Cassian as my second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what your list looks like.
Yeah.
And then we have some unknowns on 4.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or 3 and 4.
3 and 4. Oh man,
You
if
don't
I
have to-
had to pick somebody, do I have to pick people?
No.
Okay.
No.
Then if I don't have to pick anybody, then I'm taking Wrath right off of this.
Yeah, okay, so
yeah.
so your ongoing list. So for me, I have somebody at number 1 that I'm not going to disclose right now, but I will say because most people know Akatar.
Yes,
that
I'm gonna
I'll
go
say
with Reese, my first one.
Rysand is my second. Cassian is my third. I'm not gonna say who my 4th is. I don't have a 5, but it's not Wrath.
No, it would have been Sloth. Actually,
it's not anybody from this book.
Yeah.
So okay, so you do put him at 5 or you don't put him at 5?
No, if we're picking people, like if we're just like, if we're not, if we can leave them blank. I don't even think I would keep him as my top 10.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Me either.
Yeah,
he falls short.
Yeah, he does. Now, like I said, if we were only picking a piece of him, book 2, he would probably be in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing an overall from the whole series, yeah, no. I don't even like him in book 1. I hate him in book 2. Book 3. Book 2 is the only thing I liked about him.
You know, I think the thing about him that I dislike the most and why he will not make a list of mine is he's boring. He's so boring.
That's why I prefer Sloth over him.
Sloth, yeah. I mean, I still, like, if I had to pick somebody in this book, I would pick Envy.
Yeah.
Because Envy has more personality, but they all have so much more personality than Wrath does. Wrath is like, Carrie wrote the trope to be tall, handsome, black hair.
Yeah, well, I think one of them has blonde.
Yeah, well, specifically Wrath, right? Because
he's
supposed to be our love interest.
Yeah.
And so she wrote him to fulfill the trope, and she just, like, checked the boxes, but didn't, in my opinion, actually make him into some sort of character. Like, he just checks the boxes, that's all he does. And mind you, like, I love what he does in book 2. Like, when he's making this girl beg on her knees and crawl to him, like, that's Wrath. That's the Wrath I want to see.
Yeah.
But that's not a consistent personality trait of his, because that's a morally gray. It feels more morally gray. And that's what I like in my book boyfriends. I need somebody who's, like, gonna burn the world to say Wrath would not do that. Wrath is too justice. Wrath might as well be blonde hair.
I don't understand why he's even a demon. I go back on that all the time.
That's the thing, is that he doesn't embody that, right? If he was embodying this demon and he was morally gray, like, I would believe he would burn all the world down to save Amelia. I don't believe that this Wrath would.
He does punch through holes through the portals.
That's it. He just gets this obnoxious amount of rage. And I'm also supposed to believe that he's, like, I don't see instances where he's so powerful. No. You know what I mean? And I like that too in my book boyfriends. Like, again, the one I've brought up already, Rysand. That's somebody who has immense power. That's somebody who I feel, who is also maybe not morally gray in the sense that I like, but he's still, like, I don't know, he's better. He played his part to be morally gray in Akatar. Like, he was. Yeah.
He was the epitome of a morally gray character. Also, if I would like to add, if we're going to still do our book boyfriends, I want Draco from Manacled on there somewhere.
No, he's my number 1, but I didn't want to say it, but I'll say it now.
Okay. Okay.
So he is my number 1.
Yeah.
That's who's mine. But, so yeah, that's the number 1.
Yeah.
And so where does he fall for you?
Fuck, I forgot all about him until recently, but I think 2. So Reese, and then Draco, then Cassian. I like Cassian as number 3.
I like Cassian.
I don't know. I want to pick Azrael somewhere in there because I think he's cool, but I don't know anything about him, so I feel
the same.
I just save him for somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I keep him at 4 just to, like, keep the spot warm because I do like him. But then Slade for me is number.
I have a hard time.
Slade is number 4. I think I would put him there.
I have a hard time with him. And you know why? I have a hard time.
Yeah,
with him.
I just ignore that.
I can't ignore those parts.
So if you've read, what is it, the Plated Prisoner and then Manacled, which we will be doing.
Yeah.
So we can reference things like this with everybody in our community knowing. But yeah, so he is on the list for me. He does have some issues, but overall he does the same thing that I like.
Yeah,
he comes in and he's like nothing but power.
I
and
do
it's
like that.
Yes.
I like that, but it's like, dude, like you get into these parts with him and I just like, we got to discuss that.
We'll discuss it when the last book comes out, which I think is supposed to be this
December, January.
Yeah, so we'll do it this year. We're gonna do the whole series.
Yeah. So yeah, heroines.
Why are we ready to, like, jump ship off of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do heroines.
So heroines. Oh man. So I'm gonna keep my spot 1. Yeah, definitely not gonna talk about spot 1. I'm sure you're not going to either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we kind of have I believe we had the same similar spot one. Do I have a spot two? I don't know because I am so critical of my heroines. I analyze them so much more than I analyze the book boyfriends, which is probably my problem. I probably should analyze book boyfriends a little bit more, but I don't. Okay, I don't. I analyze the women a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I think I feel I want to see myself in these.
Oh yeah.
So I myself have high standards for myself. So when I expect to see a badass, I expect to see a badass, and I don't want to be disappointed.
I want to be like awed by them. Like I want to
Yes.
I want to be you. I wish I was you.
Exactly. And since I feel so great about myself, it's very hard to find somebody that I could be like, I want to be you, not me. I want to be you, and that's very hard in me finding a character. So spot one, I believe I have found my character. However, we can't disclose that right now. Spot two, I don't really think I have a spot 2, 3, or 4, or 5 for that matter.
I would say I have a spot 1, and I also have a spot 2, which is Farah. I love her. I love her. I will love her forever. I don't know that she's gonna stay in top 5 forever, but I tell you what, when she threw that spear at the Amarantha's, what the fuck her name is, feet, and she was like,
I do like that part.
Fucking, that was it for me. I was like, my queen.
Yeah, I do like that part, but with Faerie, there's parts where I do love her. Like I like that, and I like when she kills. Spoilers for that book too.
Even
by the way,
skip a couple seconds.
We should have warned you about all the spoilers that we. But when she kills the adder, whatever, in the city, I loved that part.
Yeah,
that was one of my. And when she gets the fucking ring from the Weaver, I love that. So I do love her, but I don't want to say she's my 2. I would, if anything, if I would put her on, I would put her on spot 5 for now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because I feel like she's great, but overall, I feel like even though I hate Nesta, I feel like Nesta would be above her.
Ooh.
I hate Nesta.
Ooh, I hate Nesta.
But I think she's super badass. I think she's a fucking badass. She's not unlocked her potential, but I think truly deep down, I think she's a fucking badass. But I hate her.
But yeah, that's the problem, is that she is a badass, but I don't like her.
Yeah.
I don't like her.
I fucking hate her.
I like her more after Silver Flame.
Yes, but that's the only reason why.
But it's because I don't hate her anymore. Like, I don't hate you, but I still don't like you.
Yeah, but she pointed at that was the moment she got me. She pointed at I was like, this girl. She's got some balls.
She does.
So she's like pointing at this king, and then she goes and, gets his head off his... Okay, so I was just like, ooh. And then she goes and gets all those items and walks out of was it the lake or whatever, the river? So I'm just like, I think she's a badass, but at the same time, I fucking hate her.
Yeah, that's the problem, because she is a badass. And when I'm having challenging situations, I like to think internally, like, I need to channel my inner Nesta, because sometimes like you need to be like a bitch who just doesn't give a shit, like mean to people, not people pleasing, like you just need to be a bitch. Yep. And Nesta is the perfect person to sort of envision and embody, but
and I could see
she's too much of a bitch all the time.
And see, I see a little bit of myself when she gets that way, and I'm just like, oh, that's probably why I hate love her, because I think there's kinds of times when she'll say something, ooh, I'm like, that's bad, you should say it, but yeah, I understand. Like she does things out of rage, hate, and anger. Or, well, I guess rage and anger are the same, but like I feel like when she told Faerie about the secret everybody was keeping from her, I felt like that was kind of fucked up, but at the same time, I get it. Yeah, so yeah. I mean, I would honestly put her in spot 4.
Okay.
Well, but I feel like she's going to be moved, and I think Faerie is going to be moved eventually over time.
Faerie might. Yeah, Faerie was for a while my number 1. She just recently got moved. So
she
got moved. She's still up there though. She's still my main girl, because I think she was the first character that I was super enamored with, just like mind blown at how badass she was, and so that's why she has a special part. Which is the same thing with Rysand. Like for me, it was like the first time I was like, oh my god, he's amazing. Yeah. Never thought he'd be topped. Was randomly topped in a way I was never expecting. So that's the cool thing about the list. It's constantly changing.
It's always going to be changing.
I think just the same, super critical about my main characters, because I mean the whole book always hinges on their decisions, and when you're doing dumbass shit all the time, it's frustrating. Amelia does not even make the list. No.
I forgot about her. I totally forgot about her.
We're ranking for this book.
Yeah, totally forgot. So, for our villains, man, I really think, whew, I don't really know if I have a good villain, but honestly, sometimes it's interchangeable with book boyfriends. Like, I feel like
Mm.
Slade could be a really good villain because he even says
Ooh,
he's
he
a
is a
villain.
good villain though.
So
Like
if
if
you
you're
look
not on
at
his
it,
side.
yeah, he's a good villain. And I would say out of all the books I've read so far, I would say he is. He goes. I want to say he's a 2 as my villain, only because for number 1, I I go back and forth with who my number 1 is. Like, is it Draco? Because he's also
Oh
really,
no,
yeah,
now I'm just lost here.
yeah. Because like if you think about it,
I wasn't even prepared for villains, and now you're
yeah,
pulling out like
yeah.
these tongue twister
But do
riddles,
you
and I
understand?
can't. I know, I see it. You make 100% sense.
So it's like I don't know. I have to go back and think about it because it was just an idea right
Yeah.
now that we came up with. But like I feel like
That's the problem with these enemies to lovers is
yeah.
that they're always
some of them are just
they're gonna be
villains.
villains.
Yeah, but
yeah.
some of them I don't consider Slade one of my book boyfriends though. So
Oh, that's right. He's not on your list.
yeah. So but I see him as a good villain because he does some crazy stuff.
And
his
power is cool.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil that. In this
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't really have a whole lot of people, but Slade is definitely on that list as a villain.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm in both of those fronts. So
yeah.
Draco number 1. Well, I think man, I would make Slade number 1 above Draco because his power is a little bit different.
Yeah, he even says he's the villain.
Yeah, he does say he's the villain.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about. I mean, we are and not talking about Harry Potter Draco, but also not. It's very different.
Span fiction manacles is what we're referring to.
And yeah, so that one, yeah, so a 2 if I had to play somebody there. Because he is super powerful just in his own right, and he is a villain.
Yeah,
he's a big villain actually. Now that I'm thinking about it more,
without having to detail much of anything, he pretty much is a commander, for a king, and the king is also a very huge villain in the story. So, and they're very terrifying, and everybody's afraid of them.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put Slade first because I think his power is cooler.
His power is devastatingly
way cool.
Yeah, I love his power. In fact, that's the only reason why I had trouble being like, I really want him as a book boyfriend, but I can't. Because if you read the series, you will know it's a little bit much.
Yeah,
it's a little bit much.
Hopefully, you'll read it with us. Yeah, and you can discuss it with us.
Yeah, it'll be a few episodes from now.
Yeah, it will be. But it is on the list.
Yes.
So. Okay. Yep. I think that's a pretty good like set list that we can just keep running from. Yeah. I mean, you got a little bit of a taste of a bunch of the books that we've read. Well, some of the books that we've read. Yeah. So it's kind of fun. This was sort of a free for all episode, anyways, about just hanging out, discussing this book, also just discussing kind of again our rankings. Yeah. Which we'll continue to do for every series review. Update our lists and see. But for this book specifically, nobody made the list. This is not...
pretty sad. It's in its own review that nobody made the list.
Yeah, we were way more into our actual, like, the books that we've already read that we love. Yeah. Way more interested in talking about that than we are about freaking this book that shall not be named.
Yeah, we're gonna forget about it. The only reason why we'll remember is that because we have episodes about it.
Yeah, that's really it.
So, yeah, now we're going to talk about what's in store for the possible next.
Yeah, so we do have a conundrum on our hands, I feel like. So just to let the community know, if you do like this book and you hate our reviews about it,
that's fine.
That is totally fine. And I will update you on the fact that Carrie is actually making another book called Throne of the Fallen, which is taking place in the same universe, and it's from the perspective of Envy. Well, maybe not from his perspective, but it's about him and another girl named...
Oh, they got the girl's name.
Yeah, Miss Camellia Anotinus.
So I'm sorry. I'm hoping that's a love story that he...
Yeah, I suppose. She's an artist, art dealer, and a secret keeper.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I already don't like it.
Yeah, Carrie wrote on her website, Throne of the Falling is a seductive new standalone novel set within the kingdom of the wicked world. It's my adult debut, so please,
Mm,
no, this is definitely not for young readers. She confirms that the Throne of the Fallen is told from both Envy's perspective, okay, and the brand new characters. So I'm so torn with this because like she suckered me in. She
yeah,
knew,
you
I
would
mean,
like
she didn't
Envy.
know, but
I think she did.
she knew I was gonna like Envy, and
I
she was like, "Let's write a book."
I think she did. I think she did because she set it up in a manner of speaking like she didn't say what Envy lost. She did, you know, I feel like Envy was the go-to character. She introduced more because besides Wrath, the only other brother they really discussed was Envy.
Yeah,
I
and they
felt like
made
all the other
him
brothers were non-existent.
just alluring enough.
Yeah,
Like it caught my attention. Like
yeah,
I was all give me Envy. I would care more about Envy.
yeah,
So that was wise on her part to do that. And it's also such a conundrum too because her smut is so good. So the fact that
yes.
she's saying this is her actual adult
book.
novel
Ooh.
piques my interest
Yeah,
slightly. The
yeah.
problem I have is that I don't trust her to write this story well.
I don't trust her to even the cover art on the book is great. Like
Yeah, it's
it lured us in with that, you
mhm.
know. But no, I don't trust her to write the story to where I feel like it's gonna do any better. I'd be surprised if it did. Whatever author wrote book two, bring that energy
Bring that
in.
energy, yeah.
Because that's the only thing I really feel like there was different authors writing this book, and I probably, that's just me saying that,
I mean,
but
the biggest problem is like, yeah, bring that energy, but at the same time, like that alone can't keep an interest in the book. I mean, it
no,
did for book two, but once that kind of simmer, that slow burn has burned out, and they're now in love, like your book better stand on its own feet because the only reason I read through book two so fast is because of their relationship that was budding, that burn that was happening in
yeah,
book two. Like I was eating book two up,
yeah,
but then by book three, I like don't care because your story isn't there. Your
no,
story didn't hold the book up when what was keeping me interested faded. And maybe obviously that's not the same for everybody because the series did get good reviews,
yeah, it did.
but I still do not fathom why when there's so many holes in it. But yeah, so I think she's gonna come with the same energy of not having like, a substantive story. That's the problem. You have great writing ability with your smut, but your story lacks actual real substance.
Hopefully, she got help along the way for this book because,
Maybe.
and she says it's a standalone, so it's just one book. I'm guessing,
That's
or
weird.
I don't know. Well,
That's weird.
sometimes standalone just means that it's separate from. You could just read it separate from the other. So maybe there's series. I don't know, but all I know is that it better. I hope it's good because more than likely we're gonna read it.
Yeah. I feel like we're still debating. It comes
Yeah.
out October of this
Oh,
year.
this year. Okay. Well, I guess.
So, but okay, but if it's going to be a trilogy, I don't want to read it right
No,
away.
we'll probably wait until all the books come out. So
I
just
don't even know that I
FYI.
want to read it.
Just FYI, if you're waiting for our review, don't hold your breath.
Yeah, we like to wait until we have a full series to read. Do not leave me on a cliffhanger. I am
Nope.
not somebody who's gonna hang around 2 years to see.
Yeah, we aren't that type of.
Akatar got me because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But
We thought it was finished.
yeah, and it was too late. But I like read Silver Flame and was like, oh,
Yeah, we're really into it now.
there's more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that's the news. If you care to keep up with the Kingdom of the Wicked's world.
Yeah. But other than that, that's it for our series review.
Yeah.
If you would continue to watch us and see what we have in store for the next episode, we're going to be discussing The Cruel Prince. What is it called? What series is it called? The Elf?
The Folk of the Air series.
Folk of the Air series, yes.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for any book.
Yeah.
Please give me something good. This is supposed to be, I think, one of those sort of like cult classics like Avatar. I think a lot of people have read it. It has almost 1 million reviews on
I did not know that.
Goodreads. Yeah, I was looking it up the other day. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I'm too. I'm really excited for anything other than the Wicked series.
I know. Oh my god.
So join us back for the episode of The Cruel Prince. And if you like our series review or anything else that we're doing, go ahead and like and subscribe and join us for the next episode.
Thank you. Bye.